Hello everybody and welcome back to my channel. So today's video is going to be a little bit different from the others I've put out recently. It's going to be a week in the life of an Associate Psychological Practitioner. So that's the role that I do, and it can be a bit confusing because it's not the same as the clinical associate psychologist role, and it's not the same as the psychological wellbeing practitioner role. It's actually a completely separate role. They like to make it super easy for us in the psych world, don't they? So when I started the training for this role, it was actually a completely brand new role. So I was in the first ever cohort for this job. In the training year, there was about 50 of us, half of which were in different types of secondary care services, and the other half of us were working in primary care networks. So in GP practices, basically. So if you don't know what a primary care network is, basically it is kind of a collection of a certain number of GP practices within a local area. And my role is meant to be focused on mental health prevention and promotion. So the idea is that we work with people who are maybe kind of showing signs of worry or low mood or are feeling a bit stressed, and hopefully prevent them from kind of developing any further with the kind of mental health distress that's going on for them. Now, this isn't necessarily always the case of the kind of people that get referred to me. You know, I have been referred quite a number of people who scored quite highly on some of the psychometric measures, for example, the PHQ-9, which measures low mood. But normally in the first session I have with them, which is the assessment session, you can kind of get a feel about what kind of support that person is going to need, and whether the skills that I have and the time that we have to work with them is going to actually be helpful or not. In terms of the actual work that I do, I normally work with people for between 4 and 5 sessions. So this would be initially kind of 4 weekly sessions where we can work on whatever it is that they want to or need to work on. And then a 5th session, which is a follow-up session that happens 2 months after those initial 4 sessions. If after working with this person, they could still benefit from further support, then I might refer them to the local IAPT service, maybe a local community group or charity, or even to the social prescribers, which is a kind of another role within the primary care networks. Another part of the job, which is aligned with the idea of prevention and promotion, is that we can do community work. And so what this can look like is we kind of build relationships with local community groups, schools, that kind of thing, and we can run wellbeing psychoeducation sessions or kind of come in with information or whatever it might be that these groups would find beneficial. And I think that this is a really nice aspect of the role, and you know, it's fantastic to try and kind of increase conversations and awareness of mental health within the local community. In terms of actual client work, something which I really like is the flexibility that we have as apps with regards to the therapeutic modalities that we can draw upon. Within my sessions, I can draw on principles from CBT, ACT, DBT, CFT, and yeah, it's just really nice to be able to kind of work flexibly and really individualize the work depending on the person in front of you and what is going to be most useful for them. I think that's all of the most of the background information that you need to know. So now let's get into it. Let's show you what I get up to in a working week. It's about 10 to 9 Monday morning, and I've just arrived at the kind of centre where we're doing our training today. So what this is it's day 2 of the training. The last one we did a couple of months ago. And it's basically this guy who has kind of set up this foundation for working in schools and running really fantastic groups, educational groups in schools. So there are stress management, anxiety, eating disorders, gambling, so loads of different topics which you can do in schools, kind of like in their PSHE sessions. And so this is day 2 of that. I can't remember what the topics are today, but I'll let you know. So yeah, I'm just about to go in, get myself a coffee, and let's see how it goes.
So I'm back home now from the training. It's about 3:30 and I thought the training was going to finish at 5. So I've got an extra hour and a half or thereabouts of my working day, which is always a nice benefit. The day involved 5 different sessions. There was risk-taking behaviours, self-harm, healthy relationships, learning disabilities, and autism. And so the way that the sessions were run was they were kind of being run as if we were the class that we would give those sessions to. So it was really interesting to see kind of how they're set up, the language that's used, what information they kind of portray and give across. So yeah, I think it was an interesting day, lots of information to now digest. As I said previously, this is the second day of this training. So the idea is that we, as part of our role, we do community work. So we will hopefully kind of get in contact with schools, get into the schools and be able to deliver these workshops. Now, the workshops were initially created to target kind of 14 plus in schools, kind of like 14, 15-year-olds. But you can adapt them to kind of include any age, and people have even started doing them in primary schools, but just adapted depending on what is appropriate to talk with children of that age. I must say, some of the stories that I heard of things that these people had heard already being discussed in schools was quite scary. Like, yeah, you just don't really realise just how much kids are exposed to and how early on and what really happens. So yeah, it's eye-opening for sure. But anyway, now what I'm going to do is I'm going to do a bit of admin and a bit of planning for the week, check my email because I haven't been on my work emails all day, and then do some revision for the East London Declan Psy selection tests. So the selection tests are in about a month's time. So I'm going to sit down, make a bit of a revision plan, figure out what I need to cover, because research methods is not my forte, shall we say. So I need to make sure that I cover every single topic. And yeah, I think for that I'm actually going to meet a friend in Starbucks and we can do some work together. So that'll be nice. Hopefully keep me motivated. Hello, good morning. It is Tuesday today. I'm in my GP office, so this is where I am every Tuesday. I work across 5 different GP practices, so here is where I see patients from 2 practices. Monday I see a different practice. Wednesday and Thursday I see 2 other practices. So yeah, always busy, always in different places, but today I've got quite a nice busy day, but with kind of different things going on. So it's now 10 to 11. This morning I had an observation session. So my clinical supervisor observed me with a patient. And this isn't something that is required. It's something that I actually requested because, I've been working as a qualified associate psychological practitioner for just over a year now, so I kind of feel like I want to be observed. I want some developmental points. I want some feedback. So yeah, that was good. So I had an assessment session with a patient, and the hour afterwards was saved for us to kind of talk about it, what went well, what are the developmental points, and then any kind of other supervision-y bits that we needed to cover. So yeah, that was good. And overall, the feedback was good. The main developmental point that she gave me was thinking about setting up the session. I need to kind of be a little bit more clear with the agenda and what the sessions are going to look like, and that I'll be taking notes on the computer. But aside from that, I got lots of really good feedback, so that's nice. I like it. So what's the rest of the day going to look like? So at 11 o'clock, I've got the TAPS and APS monthly PCNT meeting, where we kind of have any updates, think about what we're enjoying, what we're not enjoying, have any, like a couple of talks from external speakers or groups, that kind of thing. Then I've got half an hour for lunch. Then I've got a final session with a patient.
I've got a follow-up session with a patient, and then I've got another first session with a patient, which is going to be over telephone. And then at 4 o'clock, we've got our peer supervision, so our group supervision, where we have a different theme each week. And today's theme is going to be ACT. We all have to bring a patient, which maybe we've used some ACT skills for, and we could talk about it. And yeah, so that's the plan. Now I'm going to go get myself a cup of tea ready for the meeting. Okay, so my final assessment of the day, my final patient, so I still got group supervision to go. My final patient has cancelled just now. So I've got a bit more free time. So I'm going to use this time to do some admin, to write up the session notes from earlier today, and to prepare a little bit for group supervision. Not that I need to prepare much, but just spend some time having a think about some patients where I've used kind of good ACT principles before and where I found it useful, that kind of thing. So just to give you a little bit of a rundown of my day. So far, obviously I'm not going to talk a lot about what happened in sessions with my patients, but I guess to give you a bit of an idea of kind of themes that come up in my role, I had a final session with someone, and in that I always create what I call a stay well plan. So we kind of go through what differences they've noticed since starting to work with me, what tools or techniques they found helpful, what are kind of signs or signals that they could look out for that maybe would suggest them that they're not looking after their well-being. So like if they notice that they're isolating themselves more, or they notice that they are getting more snappy with their family members, that kind of thing. What would be those kind of signs which you could look out for, and when you notice them you think, right, okay, I need to do something here to help myself. I need to do something here to make sure that I give myself time to relax, or whatever it might be. And then the final question of the stay well plan is, when I notice these things, what will I do to help myself? So I quite like that one, because we just create like a little list that they can literally go to and pick from of things that hopefully they find helpful. So that was the final session. And then I had a follow-up session. So with this, I leave 2 months between a final session that I have with someone and a follow-up session. So a follow-up session is just to check in, see how they're doing, see if there's anything that they're struggling with. If I've suggested or referred them to further support, we can talk about how that's gone, and we'll go over and do the psychometric measures again. So I did forget to say, so I do psychometric measures in the first session, the final session, and the follow-up session. So we'll go over those again, see where they're at, remind them of anything that they found useful, and just check in. So this first session that's meant to be now was meant to be a telephone appointment, but they obviously can't make it. So but today's gone pretty quickly so far. I've been busy, been concentrating on things, and it's been a good day. I've enjoyed it. Hello, good morning. It is day 3 of the vlog, so it's Wednesday today. I've just got to my Wednesday location where I see one practice patients in the morning and a different practice patients in the afternoon, but luckily they're all in the same building, so that's always nice. It's about 9:30. I'll be here until about 5:30 today, so that's something that I do quite like about this role, is depending on when my patients can come and what's going on, I can kind of have a bit of flexibility about when I come in and when I leave. So actually I have quite a lot of patients that can't come during working hours, so I'll see them kind of 5 till 6, which then means that sometimes I can start at 10, which works well for me because I like having longer mornings and being able to do more kind of non-work related things in the morning, because once I get home in the evening, my brain doesn't work. So let's go in, let's slide into the system and see what the day has to hold. Okay, so I'm in the practice at 10 o'clock. I've got a follow-up appointment with a patient. I've got a final session with somebody. Then I've got a session 3, which is kind of an intervention session. Then I've got another follow-up, and then I've got another session 3. And then I've got another session 3. The primary care network has recently hired a mental health practitioner, a band 7 mental health practitioner, who I believe is a qualified mental health nurse. I think that's what their background is. I've only met them briefly last week, but they want to, as kind of the other mental health professional in the PCN, they want to shadow me this afternoon to see what I do. So that's going to be interesting. Feeling a bit nervous about that, especially seeing as like I haven't even really met them properly myself, only briefly when they're being introduced to our team. So let's see how that goes. What I'm going to do now before my patient arrives is I'm just going to check that everyone is booked into the system properly for the day. I'm going to check that I've got all the resources that I need for the sessions today, and I'm going to plan out some other kind of like to-dos and make sure that I've got a proper plan to get everything done that I need to get done. Okay, my first patient hasn't turned up yet. Also, exciting news. The Outlook app on my laptop hasn't been opening up for the last few days, but today it opened. Small wins. I'm not having much luck with patients today. I was supposed to be seeing someone at 12 for a final session. Again, they actually turned up. So, brilliant. Alright, update. It's now 3 p.m. My 2 o'clock patient did turn up. So the mental health practitioner shadowed me for the last session, which was fine. She's lovely, and we had a really nice chat at the end, which made me feel much better about things. But my gosh, I did not do the best of my ability in that session. I just felt like I wasn't asking questions in the right way. I felt a little bit stuck. I don't know. So, not the best show of my skills, but it was fine. She didn't say anything. She was very kind about it. And she said that she learned some things. So, happy with that. Good. So, it's Thursday. I'm back in a different practice today. This location is the closest one to home, which is always nice. Only takes me about 10 minutes to get here. I've got 3 patients this morning. One of them will be a formulation session because it's the second session. So I think we'll probably go over the 4 buttons or the hot cross bun formulation. Then we've got a session 3. And I think in that one I'll be doing behavioural activation, depending on if anything else has kind of come up over the last week. And then I've got a final session with someone. So yeah, 3 patients this morning, and then I don't have any patients booked in this afternoon because I actually go on jury service next week. So booking in new patients this week has been a bit difficult because some people just wanted to wait until after I was back from jury service, which is obviously completely understandable. Alright, so I'm done with my patients, and what I'm going to do now is drive home, have some lunch, and on the way I'm going to drop off this birthday card that I've got for a friend. I have kind of been thinking, because I live quite far away from a lot of my friends, and obviously adult life, you can't see people that often, right? It's difficult, everyone's busy, etc. So my thought was, I want to try and show my friends more love from a distance if I can, and I don't have the money to buy them presents, etc. So I thought cards, postcards, cards, letters, that's quite a nice way of keeping in touch and showing love in a little bit more, I don't know, I just think it's cute. So yeah, if you're my friend, be expecting birthday cards this year. I'm going to be sending them to everyone. So I am at home ready for an afternoon of work. Some of the things I'm going to get on with this afternoon is I need to input patient data into the Excel spreadsheet which we use for the service valuation. So this is the evaluation of all of the trainee apps and qualified apps across our area, and yeah, basically evaluating kind of the app role and the effectiveness of the app role. So I've got quite a few bits of data that I need to input for that. And then I'm going to get on with writing up the rest of my discharge letters that I need to write. Also, while I'm working, I always like listening to music, and the Oxford Psych on Instagram has a little tab of music that she enjoys listening to. And yeah, it's really good. I really like those. So highly recommend if you need a bit of music to help you focus. All right, I have finished inputting the data that I wanted to input for the service evaluation. She got way more done than I was expecting that I would. So that is always nice, isn't it? Now it's about 3 o'clock. I'm just drinking this coffee. I don't normally have 2 coffees in a day, but I want to go to the gym later and I like our coffee machine, so why not? So yeah, I'm going to drink this coffee and then get on with writing discharge letters, and I'll show you a little bit about what my discharge letters entail. Hello, good morning. We are on the final day of the week, so it's Friday. Today is normally my work from home, admin, other kind of projects day. So what it's going to look like is I need to call patients to book them in. I need to send off a couple more letters, and I'll take you through, I said I'd do it yesterday, but I'll take you through what different letters look like today. And then I've got some work to do on a systematic review. So we're doing a systematic review about brief interventions in primary care settings and whether they're effective or not. And it's been going on for quite a while, but it's something that we're meant to do kind of on top of all the other things we've got to do in our job. So yeah, today I need to send out an email to all of my colleagues asking if anyone else is willing to help, because some of the people that were helping before aren't able to help anymore. So yeah, we need more hands. So let's get going and I'll show you how it goes. Okay, so let me take you through what I normally do for end-of-treatment letters. I have like a template for each of the different practices I work at. So it makes it much easier. I can just kind of like adapt things on that template. So it starts off with kind of like a little introduction, and then I go through the psychometric scores from our first session and our final session. Then I talk about, we kind of re-highlight what their goal was. Then I normally put in the formulation that we did. So the one that I have in the template is the CBT kind of hot cross bun formulation. If we did a different kind of formulation, maybe the act choice point or the CFT 3 circles or maybe the 5 piece formulation, then I'll just put that one in instead. And then underneath that, I kind of have, to exit this cycle, these are the strategies that we spoke about. And what I actually have is I have a document which I've written up with kind of little paragraphs of all the different types of things that I normally do with people, and if there's anything new, then I'll kind of add it onto that document. And then it just means that I can kind of copy and paste across and then do some little adaptations depending on exactly what we spoke about with the client. But yeah, it just means that it's so much easier and more time efficient for me to write up these letters. And then at the end of the letter, it kind of just says thank you for engaging and attending. And then I've got a list of options of kind of further support in the local area if they need it. So yeah, that's what a letter entails. So I've just spent a good 2 hours calling through people on my waiting list. This is something I have to do every single week, which is annoying because it does take up quite a lot of time, but it's only me who can book in the patients. So yeah, I've booked in most of my patients for when they get back from jury service. I'm going to do another session of calling at about 4 o'clock. I normally find that kind of lunchtime and then towards the end of the working day are the best times to give people a call. So yeah, we'll see how it goes, and hopefully I can get a couple more people booked in. Now I'm going to compose and send an email asking people to, if they're willing to help with the systematic review. Okay, I am done with all of the patient admin. Well, pretty much. I'm just going to call around a couple of patients that I couldn't get hold of earlier. And then all I've got left to do is some kind of like personal work admin things. So I need to log my supervision on the ESR system. I need to input some mileage claims, and I need to add some extra points to a presentation which me and another colleague created, which we're going to be giving to kind of like all the TAPS and apps group in our next meeting, about things to consider when working with people from different cultures. So things to consider kind of before assessment or when booking in for an assessment. So yeah, and then the day should be done. It's kind of getting dark outside. I'd really like to go on a walk soon. I've been inside all day, so yeah, maybe I'll do that. Okay, so that rounds up my working week. I'd say it was a relatively accurate representation of my week. I do think that there was quite a lot of cancellations of patients this week, and it was a little bit different in that I don't normally have that training on a Monday. Normally what my Monday looks like is I'm in the office with the team on Monday morning, and we have our weekly wellbeing team kind of catch-up meeting, and then in the afternoon I'm in a different practice seeing patients. So yeah, but overall I think it was a good show of like the kind of different activities that I normally get up to. And yeah, if you've got any questions about my role or the kind of things that I do, then please let me know in the comments below, and subscribe to see more videos. And if you enjoyed this video, then give it a like. It's always nice to see kind of like what you enjoy watching, what is useful for you. So yeah, I hope you have a lovely week, and hopefully see you back here for the next video. Bye.